All right. So here we go again. Just wanted to get on a little early, a few minutes early. Made some more adjustments to my settings and things like that. So I just want to make sure that I have pretty good stream health before we continue. The past few episodes, oh goodness gracious, they have just been horrendous with lag and things like that. But it looks like for 30 seconds of doing this, we are all green. So I guess we'll wait for people to trickle in. Right now we got nobody in here. I'll start doing the coding once we get someone. But I guess I could use this time to talk about thoughts I've been having. So I'm probably going to stop live coding on YouTube, maybe. I used to do this a lot on, it used to be livecode.tv. I think it's like livecode.edu now or something like that. But the difference there, before they changed their model, is I could have anywhere from 10 to 30 people with a lot of them engaging in the stream and things like that. And it tends to make for a better live code. So what I'll probably end up doing is going back to there and live coding and then doing a recording on the side and then uploading recording to this channel. It's just, I don't know. YouTube's not really geared where over there, everyone that's watching the streams is into streaming and they're into programming. So there's less like promotion you have to do and things like that. But the problem with them is the way they have their models set up. So, and the way they were doing their commercials and things like that was crashing some of my users or viewers or learners' browsers, and they would have a hard time connecting to the stream. So that's why I originally left and came back to here. But I'm wondering if they have those problems fixed. So I might do a couple more sessions here and then move over to livecode.edu for the actual streaming. Okay, so it looks like we are having some issues. So what I may need to do is adjust some things. So hold on here. All right, I might have to disconnect and then reconnect. But is anyone out there? So it looks like we have someone out there. Is my stream laggy or skipping frames or anything like that? Or you notice anything horrible? May need to pop off here. Let me check my settings. Sorry, this is ridiculous, but hey, why not? All right, so let's go to my output here. All right. So where is my keyframes? Stand by. Sorry about this. Kind of makes me a little sad. All right, so I wonder what happens if I adjust my bitrate. All right, let's see if this disconnects. If you could in the chat. Well, always these settings. Always these settings. All right. Let's try this again. And we'll look at the output. And there's our rate control. Here we go. Yep. So hold on. I may disconnect for a second and connect back up. It looks like I am shot. Okay. So looks like, oh, except the quality is just horrendous. Look at that. Oh, man. All right, well, as long as it says that my health is good, I guess we'll go with the lower quality. I don't know if it seems laggy on your end or not. Let me know. But I'm going to continue, I guess. So, since we're doing a lot of work, as I was saying before, we had I'm thinking about moving my live stream over to livecode.edu. And putting the recorded streams here. So I don't know. That's basically what I was rambling about. But I think we have a good stream health now, so I guess I will continue. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to update we got to do some cleanup. We've been moving pretty fast on this, and there's just a lot of messy things going on. So since we're doing mostly like cleanup and things like that, what I want to do is also use this time while we're cleaning up to answer any questions or anything any of you out there might have. For people not watching the live stream, I guess you could comment on the video, things like that. But it would be nice to, instead of just doing all these chores while we're doing this nasty, boring work or this cleanup, we could, I don't know, chat about FP, maybe hear some of your comments or try to answer some of your questions. I'm not like an expert or anything like that, but I've been playing a lot with functional programming and JavaScript, so I might be able to help out here and there. And it looks like my health is still good, so perfect. We're just going to keep this going. So if you have any questions or anything, just drop them in the chat. If you can see the chat over there. I don't know where it is on the screen, but if you got any questions, want to make any comments, anything like that, go ahead and do that. Right now it looks like we have 2 people, so that is good enough for me. So before we start doing the cleanup, there's one thing that's been bothering me because of some of the stuff we're going to clean up today. We didn't get a chance to update this button. What I would like for this button to do is anytime that this is clicked, it shows or hides this, right? So if we look here, let's do some of this. Oh, goodness gracious, that's horrible at this resolution. So we will just move this over here. And if we look at our Redux screen, and again, if you got any questions or anything, just drop them in that chat. So what we want to do is take our state. First of all, we have a name mismatch here that we should fix. This is actually a status filter, not a to-do filter. So part of our cleanup, we'll go ahead and fix that up. Yep. And so what we want to do is respond to this UI here. So we went ahead and updated the status, and basically this is just a UI thing that says which filter groups to show. So we actually want to rename this later after we get this hooked up. We'll rename this to actually status filter, so that way it matches what's going on in here. And this will basically be, this will hold the results from each of the filters or things like that. So let's get this started. And again, if you got any questions, anything at all, it could be really about anything, go ahead and throw them in the chat. All right. So I guess to get this started, what should be the first thing we do? Let's check this out. Let's check this out. So this is inside of, if we click this filters, we'll jump over to React. This is actually inside of filters, which gets nothing, but then we have this filters section. So let's look to see how filters is built out. And so this is what actually puts in that filter section. So I think what we want to do is connect this up. So what we want to do is connect this up. Let's just do a quick search here. So we'll do awk. What are we going to do? Connect, and we'll just find a file that has connect in it, and there is one on filter button. So we'll jump here to filter button, and let's just open this in the new tab. And we basically want to take this, throw this up here, and now we can use our connect. So we're also going to need our map string or map state. Ooh, should that be map props? Yeah, I like that. We'll call that map props. And we'll just put this in. And really, we don't need the own on here like we did on the other one. We can just pull the state. And really, the only thing we need from the state is going to be this UI here. So if we look at Redux, we just want to grab this UI state here. And let's go ahead and map that to show. And this will just be UI dot filter groups. Filter groups, and we will call this, what was it, status? So that'll pull status off, and that will throw it onto the show. So now we just really need to bring the show in, and a little show and tell here. And we're going to need to bring in prop types. So let's do prop types. In case you're wondering, that's what this is telling us here. That show is missing in the props validation. So in case anyone new, it looks like we had some people cycle out. We're just doing some chore work, things like that. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to throw them in. I can pretty much, well, try to answer, you know, your functional JavaScript questions or opinions on things, why I do something one way versus another way, or share any experiences that you've had in doing this sort of stuff. So we'll do that, and then our map function is going to be map props. So we're basically just going to get this out, and then here, this is just going to be one of these with show, and show, and we'll do and we can get rid of that, paste that there, hit enter, bada boom, bada bing, and now we should be good there, except for a couple extra spaces. So now what's going on here is missing in the prop types validation. Oh, that's right, we still need to bring in prop types. So we'll just do some of this, make sure we, you know, keep it in the same format. And this is, of course, going to be filters. And our prop type's going to be show, and don't need that, get rid of that, and we should be good there. All right, so now let's see if that worked. And if we click this, cool. So now we got that going. That was pretty easy. Right now, we're not doing, what we are going to do is set this up using like CSS animations and things, because this is clunky. Like we should be able to slide in or expand in or something like that. We can do something a little less clunky here. But again, we got some cleanup to do. So let's get going on the cleanup, I guess. So does that make sense, what we did there? We just pulled that off. Y'all are familiar with Redux, yeah? And using like React Redux with Connect and all that. Any part of this you want explained, or? All right, we'll wait for that to catch up. Yeah, and if you want anything explained, just stop me. All right, so seems like there's no questions. Moving on then. All right, so now we run into this other issue. So if we look some of the other cleanup that we want to do, where is it? We'll do, oh, that's not what we want. All right, so if we look at Redux, you'll notice we have a type mismatch here, right? So we have this to-do filter, which is showing the result of that filter. But in here, for that filter group itself, we have the name status. So what we're going to do is just go through and replace to-do filter with status filter. Yeah, just so we kind of keep the names right. It's boring stuff, but it's, you know, it's important to pay back that debt. You want to move quick, but... what is it, to-do filter? Move quick, but at the end of the day, you need to eventually go clean up your sins from the past. So it looks like we need to rename it in to-do list. So let's jump into do list. And here we will go source.js, components, and to-do list, of course. All right, so then we'll just search for to-do filter. And here we'll do, what should we do? We have to-do filter, and we're going to call it status filter. Okay, and we will delete to F and status filter. All right, so now we have that there. There's no more of that found. So now we should be completely broken. Well, not completely broken, but these filters shouldn't work anymore. Sweet, because we're pulling off of something that doesn't exist in a world where that thing doesn't exist. All right. So then we just come through here. What is the next thing we need to do? What is the next thing? Oh, yeah, we should probably jump over here. So next thing is in filters. So we'll go source, components, and filters. And we'll search for the same thing. We got to-do filter, but this is basically saying which state to represent on there. So this needs to be, of course, status filter. All right, so now that should fall through on our filter section and then rename to status filter, which is great because... that's what we are. Ooh, interesting. See, we created another problem here. So we need to think this through because show doesn't really make sense being passed here. It makes sense for filters section. So I think what we want to do is still bring this in on filters, but so we'll rename this to status. And I'm wondering, well, let's just do this then. Yeah. So actually, we'll just leave it like that. And then here we'll do status. And should it be status? But let's call it show status. Status. Okay. All right, so that'll get that from that. And then here we need to put show status. And we'll go end and status. And show status isn't going to go here. We'll still keep this as this. And here under filter section, we'll do show. But. Okay, we are going to keep it show status for now. Now, the reason why is... What is the reason why? So... Let's look at what filter section does. All right, so what do we return here? So we still return a div. So I'm wondering if this should actually be a higher component, a higher order component. So that just takes in the children and then passes things down, showing whether or not to show it. Interesting. All right, so let's go back. We're going to name this status for now. I'll need to think about this. Status. All right, interesting. All right, then this needs to be status. Yeah, I'm not at all happy with this right now. I need to think about a better way to lay this out. And maybe that'll become clear once we get like the keyboard nav and things like that in there. It'll probably become more clear there on how this needs to lay out. But there's something about this that's screaming out to me saying it should be refactored, obviously. So I guess we're going to go with this. Let's make sure this part still works, and it does. All right. So now that we've had a nice little diversion, we'll go to filters, and to do filters been taken care of here. So what is the next one? The next one is going to be store. So we need to take care of that in store here. And JS store, we'll just replace that. And this needs to be status. Okay. And we got one more, or we have one more place here, and that's going to be the actual reducer that we're doing there. Is that filter to dos? It sure is. So we'll jump into filter to dos, and oh, is it filter to do? Hold on. Models filters to do, not the reducer. Goodness gracious. All right. So that's going to be here, and then we do this, and we do status. Status. All right. So now we should have everything working, and cool, we're back to good. Back to good, as they say. All right. So the next part we need for the refactor, again, this is mostly just a bunch of cleanup, nothing groundbreaking or anything happening here today. If you got any questions or anything about any of this code, Crocs, working with ADTs, working with Lambda, things like that, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer pretty much anything. Again, this is some mindless work, but it's work that we as devs and engineers all have to do. It's just not the glamorous stuff, right? But for me, it's one of the repercussions of moving quick. A lot of times I just want to get something working, and then I start worrying about patterns later as soon as it's up and working. So this is the nice little corners I always paint myself into. So the one thing that tripped us up, that kept us from actually implementing this last time with these filters, does it keep? Yeah, perfect. It does keep it. And how does that work? Perfect. Except I would like this too whenever it's highlighted. Anyway, just some things we'll end up doing. All right. Okay, stream health is still looking pretty good. But the thing that tripped us up last time was we kept trying to import from something that wasn't there. We were trying to import, ran into this thing because I was pulling from somewhere that I shouldn't have been pulling from, things like that. So what we want to do is, and the reason why we're doing that is we did move all of our Crocs and I think Ramda, if we have some Ramda stuff. Yeah, we have some Ramda imports in here. We put them all in one file, and I don't know. I don't like the way that this helpers is kind of laid out. I do like having them all in one file, but I don't like mixing the lib stuff with our actual helpers that we build. So what I want to do is go ahead and kind of change the structure of this a little bit. So we have these helpers. I think I also want to create, well, that's helpers in data. Is it helpers in data? No, it's not helpers in data. So one of the things I want to do is actually bring all of this stuff in from the same place. So we'll have kind of a file here. And actually, let's just do it. Let's just make it. So we'll do MA, and we're going to call this helpers.js. Oops. Oh, because it's not helpers.js. We want to do helpers that. And then in here, we're going to make an index file. So here we'll have our index file. And this is basically going to bring in all of our helpers that we're going to use throughout our app. So that way, everywhere that we're going, we're always pulling from the same file instead of having little helpers here and there. But we want to have a file in here just called, should we call it helpers? No. Let's call it lib.js. And these are going to bring in all of our lib stuff. So for instance, you see where we have this import apply to, things like that. We're going to bring in helpers. And inside of helpers is going to be our base level helpers, or not our base level helpers, but helpers that work with our that we write for our app, not really helpers that come from Crocs or Ramda or things like that. That stuff's going to go inside of lib. And then here in index, we'll have all of our little helpers that we have. So for instance, this can go in here, right? So that would go inside of index. So we just paste that in. And of course, we're going to need some things. So we're going to need safe. And how we bring that in is going to be on this lib. And we'll just do our little export here. And safe is going to be moved out. And here we're going to import safe from lib. Now, really, to be honest with you, I should be putting an extension on here. One of the things that we're dealing with now, one of the contributors to Crocs, this amazing guy named Benny Powers, such an amazing name too. He is working on getting us ready for modules, so that way we can use modules like you can use an ESM build of Crocs directly. And that way you can use it in the browser, import, things like that. But one of the things we're running into is, boy, oh boy, are file extensions very important with the way things are implemented right now. So for instance, you might need a .mjs or things like that, or ESM, sorry. Well, no, I think it is MJS. Anyway, but I'm not going to do that. But it's something I probably should get in the habit of doing because it's going to become very important. So here we also want to bring in safe after. Okay. Have any of you run into issues with like doing the getting ready for ESM and like working with other libraries like React, Redux, things like that, without using compilation or anything. Anyone experiencing that? Any of you fine people out there? And then here we also need to bring in safe after. And you can comment anytime in the chat. Okay, so here we have safe after, safe after. And we're going to bring that in from lib, so that should be fine. That should be fine. We're going to need is function, so we'll grab is function. And really, to be honest with you, I should be committing to this. All right. And here we'll do is function because we know that that for sure needs to be taken out. And we'll do is function. Okay, we also need is object. So let's take that out. Again, super boring stuff. Sorry about this, but it's just one of those things that got to address. And for this resolution, let's keep these three to align. At this resolution. All right. So now we need to bring in is object. So that will go here. Oh, that's 2. So let's... All right, and what else do we need? We need apply to. And let's go ahead, that's going to create all kinds of problems. All right, so now we'll just bring in apply to. And this will, of course, be apply to. And we want 3 to align. All right. And now we need apply to. And apply to is basically just the thrush combinator. You guys familiar, or not you guys, but are you people familiar with, what do you mean you people? Are any of you familiar with combinators like thrush and the idiot combinator, and they're all based on birds. Well, they were based on birds. They were names like A and K and things like that. Are any of you familiar with playing with those? They're fun. You can do all kinds of neat stuff with them. All right, so now we have this safe dispatch. I guess let's just see what breaks. So we should have a bunch of things break. We can get rid of safe dispatch. So hopefully we have something broken. Here's to hoping, huh? And good. It looks like we are broken. So that's good. That's what we want. We break it and then we fix it, right? All right, so here we are. Helper safe dispatch is not a function, so that is in filter link. We don't need safe after anymore. That's for sure. And so let's go to filter link. Okay, so there's our safe dispatch. So we actually want to bring this in from... And what folder are we in? We're in components. Ooh, this is going to be interesting, huh? Because we have helpers and we have helpers. Oh, no, we don't. Yes, we do. So it is probably picking up this helpers.js before it's picking up the other one. So just to get it to work for now, because we really want it to be with that, we can do that, and then we should be good. Should be. We'll see. Yeah. All right. So now we're good. But, I mean, we can put that back whenever we get rid of helpers. So now let's go ahead and do a little search here and see awk helpers, and we'll look for helpers inside of source, JS, and components. All right, so we see that we have to-do list. That's bringing in prop equals, so we're definitely going to need that. And it looks like, all right, so let's take care of that. We need to bring prop equals over. All right. Okay, so now we just get rid of prop equals. That will jump into here. Oh, great. I would like the Crocs library to use it inside of an HTML script tag. How do you want to use it? Like just because you can use it using unpackage. Hold on. What is it? No, it's not unpackage. What is it? All right. So if you go here, it looks like, so you could do like this, but you can do Crocs. All right, so this gets you back the actual index and all of that there. So what we really want is Crocs, dist, and what is it? Is it Crocs? There it is, Crocs min. So yeah, if you want to use it, this will add it. If you put it into the browser, it'll add it to a, and that might be formatted all silly, but that will add it to your browser, and it'll add it to a Crocs namespace. So it would be added on the window as Crocs. I don't know if that's helpful. But you can get pretty much any lib from there just by using unpackage, any npm lib. They're there. Is that what you needed? Sweet. All right, so now we'll just take the prop equals. If you don't mind me asking, what are you using it for? Like what type of project or anything like that? You don't have to tell me or anything. Just curious. I've always been curious the way people use the software, you know? All right. So here, this is where we want to actually export the lib stuff from. So here we'll do export. And this will be, what is it, prop or prop equals? Prop equals. And then here we do prop equals. Okay, so now we should be broken in one place, and that's okay. And that's going to be to-do list. So right now our to-do list should be busted. But it looks like it isn't, which kind of concerns me. Why is that not busted? There we go. Now it's busted. Yay. All right. So this is in to-do list. So perfect. Perfect. Looks like we had to do our filter first. Oops. Okay. So we'll jump to components to-do list. And with all these, again, we'll just... oops. All right. Move this down. What will be the thing that we do? We jump over here. And we need to go to-do list, data components, to-do list, And we have our prop equals, so we'll get rid of that JS eventually. All right, and this should fix us. Okay, so we're good there. We got that taken care of. Thank goodness for that. What is the next thing that we need? The next thing we need, is a bunch of stuff on filter button. So let's jump to filter button and see all of the things. Oh, goodness gracious. So we want to bring pretty much all of this stuff in. So we will do that, and we'll do that. Because we know we need to bring chain in, so we'll bring in chain. Oops. Okay. We definitely need to bring in compose. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, so we have compose. We're going to need curry, of course. Like, who doesn't want some curry? Everybody loves some curry. And we need to also bring in is Boolean. All right, so let's get this a little easier to read. All right, so we already have safe. Don't need to bring that in. Prop equals needs to go here. Okay. And we need option there, which we have. All right. So it looks like those are the things we need to export. So we're probably going to run into some cool problems here, hopefully. And what was that? That was over here. So this will be helpers.index.jsx or helpers.index or helpers index. All right, so yeah, we should be broke as a joke, as they say. And we sure the heck are. So curry is not a function. First thing we need to do is bring curry in. And we'll just jump here and we'll do curry. Okay, so that goes here. And here we need to export curry. Okay, curry is now exported. Sometimes I'm in an environment where I don't have or can't install Node or NPM packages, so I used minified bundles of libraries to include them in HTML to make experiments. Oh, sweet. Awesome. But I'm wondering what those experiments are. Like, what are you thinking on doing with Crocs? Or how are you using Crocs or any other ADT libraries for that matter in your day-to-day code? I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but you're the only one talking, so... Oh man, what a jerk. All right, so helper curry's not a function. Oh, that's going to create some issues, but that's okay. That's all right, I guess. I kind of painted myself into a wonderful little corner here. So now we just basically need to replace all of the stuff. So here we have chain, which means we need to bring chain in. All right, so now we have chain, and we will grab chain. Okay, what else do we need? I know this is kind of a PETA, like putting all this and moving it around, but when we're done, it's going to look real nice. But Yeah, the problem is we're not done with it yet, so it's kind of annoying. But it should turn out to be real nice when we're done, hopefully. Hopefully. Time will tell. All right, so that's going to create other problems. We need compose. All right, and that'll bring in compose, and that's CO, compose, and FC. All right. I know I should probably not keep redoing these, but oh my gosh, I just love it so much. I should probably wait until it's done. But it's really hard at this screen resolution. All right, so we have excuses, Ian, that's all you have. So we have that, we have compose, curry is function, is object, because those are used in the other places. What else are we using? Safe after. We need safe after, which we already have. Prop equals is good. Oh, we need option for sure. Everybody needs a little option. And that goes there. And LMO. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. I am so sorry. I did not have a mute button, which I should probably think about getting if I'm going to keep sneezing in people's ears. Sorry about that. All right. So now we have that. We have compose. We have option. What else do we need? Prop equals. Do we have prop path in there? Nope, we need prop path, and then I think we're good. All right. And P comes after that. And this will be prop path. All right, so now we have our safe after. We have all of that. Now we're going to run into other problems, though, because chain's not going to be a function, compose isn't going to be a function, like all of these aren't going to be functions, and there's places that they're used. So we can't really do a smoke test at this point because it's not going to yield good results, as they say. All right, so now, oh, did I just crash everything? No, I didn't. All right. So we have that, we have that. What else do we need to do? We have the helpers, we have filter button we just took care of, right? So filter button should be good. We got everything we needed from filter button. So let's close that out. And the next one that we need is filters. And this is what this is what brings in pair. So we will do filters next. So filters, we'll just open this in a new tab and close that out so we can see things. And we need to bring in pair, so let's do some of this with index. And don't worry, once we get rid of that helpers file, we're going to change all these back. We're just getting it in to smoke test it, see what errors and things like that. So now we need to bring in pair. So we will do this and down here, bring in pair. And right here, we need to export pair. See, I should do this all at once at the end, but it's just so much fun. All right, so now we have pair. We need to now bring pair into here. Ooh, that's interesting. Hold on. All right. All right. And then we take pair. All right, now we jump down to here, get rid of all this crud. All right, and we are good there. Okay, so now the last part that we need to do is this source, components, controls, filters section. So we need to bring in the helpers from there. And let's just do this, source, JS, components, controls, filter section. We'll replace that. And we're going to need map and merge, which I think are the new ones. So let's then do index. So curry, map, and merge. And here we're going to need map. Oh. And here we'll export map. Like I said, so boring, this stuff. If you guys have, if any of you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to chime in. We can break up this tedium with a little bit of shop talk around, you know, JavaScript, programming, web dev, things like that. Otherwise, it's just, you know, doing boring moving files around, and every now and then you have to do these chores. So you might as well take care of them. And I didn't want to do them off screen because that just seems weird. Like one day the file's completely changed, things like that. Oh man. All right, so where are we at here? We now need to get map into here. And there's probably other ways to do this that isn't as manual as this is. Oh man, option. What are you doing to me, option? You need to be up here. You silly goose. All right. And prop path, you're also in the wrong place. All right, so now we'll just come in here and do map. Okay, so now we have all of that and everybody loves it. So now that will do map, and we also need to bring merge in. So let's jump over here, we'll grab merge, and that comes in there. Okay, and now we have merge, so that needs to be, oops, that needs to be here. All right, and finally merge. Curry map merge, and we have curry going out, right? Yep, we sure do. Oh, except, you know what? You know what? I think we can do this one at 4. Why not, right? It seems to be okay. Okay. So we now throw that in, throw that in. We need to get merge out of here because it's pointless. No reason to use it anymore. Is Boolean, do we already have that brought over? GG. We have is Boolean brought over, so we don't need is Boolean anymore. We can get rid of that. Okay, so what else do we have? All right, so we have that from helpers. So I mean, goodness gracious. So it looks like we may have some other things that are calling this helpers file. So let's see what that could be. And And let's do source JSX, and then we'll do data. Okay, so this is all hooked up to Crocs, to Crocs, to Crocs. That helpers, so that comes in from source data helpers. Okay, so a lot of this, and then we have that from reducers, but this is coming in from that data helpers file. So now we need to clean all of this stuff out. And basically where we're doing this stuff coming in directly from Crocs, we don't want to do that. We want to actually come in from the helpers file. It's a lot of indirection, but it makes things a lot easier to have one source. And when you start using, in my experience, when you have a lot of different functional libraries, like we might bring in Fluture or something else, or, you know, that Dr. Boolean point-free version. Like, once you have a lot of different libraries, for sure we already have Ramda and Crocs. I find it easier to have one source of truth that provides that. It makes it easier to test the library itself. As you like upgrade versions, things like that. You can write specs to the parts of the APIs that you use. There's just a lot of different, how would you say, uses for it. So now that we have all of this, we need to, what should be the first thing we do? So the first thing we want to do is kill all references to this helpers inside of data. Where are we at? We're at about an hour now, so that's pretty good, I guess. So inside of data, let's see if we have anything, and we do. We have this lens path, we have that, we have this. So we want to actually grab this stuff from helpers index, okay? And then eventually what we're going to do is take all of this Crocs bits that we have here, everything that references Crocs or Ramda, but it looks like it's all Crocs here. We're actually going to pull those out of here, right? And then use them here. So we're using all of these functions inside of the helpers for the data. So we want one truth and one place that actually uses those. So we're going to pull those also from this helpers. So let's go ahead and just get this set up, because we are going to add to this like it's nobody's business. Looks like we have some new people that joined the room. We're just doing some chores and things like that. So if you have any questions or anything about anything, or you want to talk, you know, go ahead, throw something in the chat, and who knows where that will go. Should be fun, I guess. All right. So again, and I'm sorry that it's boring stuff, not a lot of like super duper awesome ADT stuff, but it's just us paying back some technical debt, basically, is what's going on here. So let's do this and this just to get this ready. And those will export the different stuff from the libs. Okay, so we want to bring that in from helpers index, and what are the things that we want brought in? We're going to need lens path, lens prop, and not and over. So that's stuff that I believe comes from Ramda. Yep. So pretty much all of this, we're just going to move over here. All right. So that means we can get rid of all of that. And then we'll just come down here and expose what we need to expose. Here we'll do Crocs imports. And that way we can kind of keep them separated, you know. So, oops, goodness gracious. I'm putting stuff in all kinds of wrong places. Isn't that fun? All right, so we want to get rid of this, or we want to bring in this lens path, all of this stuff. And we need to get it into our other file. So it needs to be an export from this file. And I mean, it doesn't make sense now, as the only thing we have in here is this safe dispatch function. I mean, that's really the only thing that we have in here. But as this app grows and we start, you know, developing more patterns, things like that. We're going to have other functions in here. And you'll look here at the helpers here. These are all helpers that have to do with the data. So it makes sense to kind of keep them in their own helpers function. And then we'll use this to grab, this will be the proxy for all the data stuff to grab the different ADTs and things. So that's our end goal for the end of this sesh. And again, any topics of discussion or anything you want to chat about? One of the things that I guess I should mention is I will be more than likely moving to back to livecode.edu for doing my streaming. Oh, Ronaldo, you said you had a question? What's your question? We'll wait for that. All right, so there we have lens path. Yeah, Ronaldo, whenever you want, just ask the question. I know there's some weird streaming lag or whatever. Okay, so now we have that. We need to bring that in lens path. And actually, let's just bring in all of those, right? We'll just grab these, because these are all new. All right, so we have lens path. Okay. We want lens prop. And we want over. And of course not. All right. Yeah, whenever, go ahead and type that in. It might be hard to type it out. If you're trying to do code or something, I would recommend doing it in a gist and then just posting the gist, and then I can, show it online. It's a lot easier than typing code into the chat. You know what I mean? All right, so we need to bring in lens path. And lens prop. And what else do we need? We need not. Why are you putting that there? Okay. All right. So the question is, I have an array of asyncs. Oh, never mind. Sorry about that. It just got redacted. Okay, so we have lens path. We have lens prop. We have not. Okay. So the question is, I have an array of asyncs error O, and I use traverse to get an async of array O. But what if I got an error? I would like to obtain the resulting array on the right, even if there was an error on the left. Do you want that error reported? All right, so if I have an array of arrows and I use traverse, so you might be able to do something. All right, let's play with this. See, this is what I like. Who cares if we get this refactor done? I could do this. I could do this offline, no big whoop. I'd rather do things like this. So let's go to playtime and we'll GCO. All right, let's see if we can work through your problem together. I don't know what this should be. 40? Nope, definitely not 40. All right, so we'll put that to there, and then let's do Vim. And let's GCO this just one more time. And we'll yarn start it. And hopefully that'll work. Perfect. Okay, so I think we have Crocs in here. So let's get our async. It's equal to require, and we'll just bring in Crocs. Okay, so you want the error to come with the array. So let's get this straight. So we'll do a const, and we'll say m is equal to, we'll say m is equal to in async resolved and so you have an array of these. You have an array of these, and you want to know the error, but you want the original array. So you have an array of async zeros, or error O, and you traverse. How do you traverse that? Do you sequence it? So you have an array. All right. So inside of here, and is it resolved? Hold on. All right. So you want the error with the array. Now you're doing a traverse, right? So how are you getting that as an array if you're doing traverse? Because that would be an array of something else. That would be like an array of something and then you lift it. Or are you chaining each one? Like, is that your traverse? Is you take it and then chain in another function? How are you using traverse to turn an array of asyncs into an async of arrays? I'm curious how that setup is, because the answer... So what I'm thinking is there's a couple ways you could go about this. So you could split this into an actual pair, where you have on the left side a constant, right? Because in order for you to get that back, you need to rebuild the array. So you need to kind of parallelize it, right? So how would we do that? How would we do that? So what I'm thinking is a pair, using a pair. So I'm going to use sequence here because I don't know how the traverse is there. So we're just going to use sequence just for now, unless you throw it on there, right? So we'll do async and we'll do resolve. And let's resolve it with 1. And we'll do an async dot rejected with error. So this is going to give us back a data will be defined as in a list of, okay, let's say you have an array of US states. Okay, so you're turning the states into asyncs. So you don't have an array of asyncs, you're doing it with, okay, with the traversal. So the way you stated it, the way that you stated it is you have an array of asyncs, when really you had an array of strings that you traversed into an async. Basically, the thing I'm about to show you now doesn't really matter whether you're sequencing or doing a traversal. The only difference is I'm going to build these out so I can have control. So let's just see if this actually works. The thing I'm thinking, async. See, I never thought of this, which is great. So we'll say string number. Okay, so I want to traverse over it, but still get my pair back. I want to traverse over it. Now I'm wondering if we could do this with an alt, but that's not going to get you the error back. It's not going to get you the error back for that there. So if we traverse over it, we're going to get back that string, but you want the error with that initial array. So let's see here. So what are you expecting on the right? Oh, okay, hold on. If I got an error on the last one, I would like to get an array of 2 objects of the array that was successful. Okay, so, and not the first successful one. You want, for each one of these on whatever, you want to bring back the ones that were successful. The one that got away. I guess you could do that with closure, I guess. But how would you do that? That's kind of nasty. So you want to get back, if one of them errors, you want to get back the other one, or you want to get them all back. So let's see here. Oh man, how would that be possible? Because you're in a rejected state, if we do the sequence, you're in a rejected state when we do the sequence. So you want to get them all back. I guess we could, so that's going to do all of the calls, and we want the actual error back, but you want the other resolved ones. Goodness gracious. So, I mean, we could do something, but you want the resolved ones. You don't want the initial array. You want, if, like, for instance, in this case, you would just get back the 1, right? So if we had this resolve 2, you'd get back those other ones actually resolved. Yeah, I don't know if there is a simple way to do that. And we'll sequence with data. All right, so that gets us back that. And you want all of them. And you want all of them. Okay. So you want the other ones back. So now if I put that in a pair, I can't sequence, or can I? But see, it still wouldn't matter. It still wouldn't matter. Hold on one moment. Yeah, even I have to look at documentation. It's super fun. All right, let's jump here and we'll jump to async. All right. See, but that would be run already. That would be run already. And then the AP would fail there. So we could coalesce. I mean, we could. But, so how would we do that? We want to chain our coalesces because we basically need it to resolve, but then that's going to change the type, right? And we want to keep our right side. We want to keep that type there. We could swap. But we don't want to swap. Let's try something. The only problem with this, though, is, oh, probably all kinds of things. Oh. Is it messes up the types. And I don't like that. Not a big fan of that. So let's see if this actually works, and if it does. Yeah. So that did work. But you see what the problem is now, right? And even if we had this jump up to here, right? See, it'll still even get you back all the other ones too. But here's the problem. So this is now, we've lost our type signature. Right? Because this is a list of, in this case, string and number. So we need a way to actually, and I mean for your traverse or whatever, right? So and because this isn't going to work, I mean, coalesce will work on that. So like say we have a fun, and we'll say X if, what are we going to do? So X in this case is going to be a number. So we'll just call this N. So x in this case is going to be an n, and we're going to do n. But no matter what, you're going to run into that type problem. Whatever you want the solution to be, you're going to run into that type problem that you're not going to have an array of whatever. You're going to have an array of mixed. So you're basically going to do a union on number and error, or whatever your type is. You're basically doing a union on it. So you'll get both of those types back, right? So that's how you'll have to think about it. So you should come up with a name for that type. But yeah, this will run as expected. So here we're going to do if n is equal to 10 or is less than 10, less than or equal to 10, then I mean, we could even do this like this, right? We can even do a, we don't, and I'm just going to do this for funsies. Instead of bringing in rejected and things like that, we can do safe, and we'll do is, watch, this is kind of neat. So we'll do safe, and then we'll take an x, and then do x is less than or equal to 10. And that's going to be something that's safe. And then here we're going to do maybe to async. And let's just do some of this and some of this and this. See, this is much better than working on that silly stuff. I'd rather do this. Aww. So we don't need that, don't need that. But one thing we are going to need is maybe to async. So we'll do maybe, oops. And we need safe. Safe. And let's actually bring in traverse. Now, everything in my heart is telling you you don't want to do it this way because of the types. The type doesn't match up. So that's why it's hard to do, is the type doesn't match up. You have different types going there. I mean, that's one of the reasons. So here we'll do data, and then we're going to do fn. Okay. And then here we just want to make this... because what we want to do is get the little bit in there that will actually so how do we want to do that? Because, so we'll do the safe, and then we'll do coalesce. So we need an error to get in there somehow. So maybe to async is then going to be error. Okay, we don't need this pair. I hope this is helpful. But again, I would recommend not doing this or coming up with a different approach, maybe a different way to restructure it, because you're going to have, no matter how you do this, you're going to have type mismatches, right? So here we're just going to make this that. And then here we'll do maybe to async. So we'll do a compose here. Oh, you know what? I should just did this as small. So whatever predicate or, you know, whatever causes your error, I'm just putting in this predicate here because, you know, we need something. So let's do, we're going to do 1, 36, 3, 7, 100. Okay. And here we want to do fn. So now fn is going to be equal to, and this is going to be compose and coalesce, and we're going to coalesce with identity and identity. And here we're going to do small. Okay, and then we need to bring compose and coalesce in. See? So now it just works. Oh, so you want it to stop on the same error or on one error, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is kind of it, but this will get back, this will basically run it through everything. And because Traverse is using AP on the back end, it runs them in parallel. So whatever you call Traverse on this and you call the fork, it actually runs all of your requests in parallel. I don't know if that helps or anything. So basically when you use Traverse or Sequence, on the back end, what it's doing is it actually does those in parallel. So if you have 10 things, it's going to run 10 requests. Right now, I don't have a way to throttle it. I've been thinking about ways to throttle it. So, I mean, this is how you would do it with Traverse. So data is going to be all numbers. And then this is actually, when you call this, is going to get you back in async. And really there's not going to be an error in it because, so I mean, I guess we'll just put error because none of this will reject. So yeah, and you don't want to call fork. I mean, you could fork all of them and then check it. But the main thing, the main problem that happens with this and the reason why it's not working out is you can see kind of in the type, like you, the whole point of these union types is you're able to tag the things from the union. So here we're creating a union. Well, we're creating a union between string and number. That's where it gets the name union type. So we're basically combining those two, but we're marking which part we got it from. So did we get it from the left or the rejected, or did we get it from the right or the resolved, right? But what we just did is we took that union and just moved it over to the far right. So it's just not a good representation. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know of a way to get that to work off the top of my head. If you have other suggestions, I could try them. But like if I were to approach this, I would approach it this way, and I would feel personally bad about it because of the type mismatch on that list there. If you're gonna, in my opinion, if you're gonna treat an array like a product type, then you should, at that point in time, just always use the same length of the array. If you're gonna have different types at different parts, you should always make like a 3 tuple, and then those 3 can vary if you're going to use an array. But if you use it like a list, I really recommend staying in the type, right? And use it like a list the whole way through. And this breaks that. It kind of breaks the union by doing that down at the heart of it all. But so this is a way to do it. I don't recommend doing it this way, of course. And but I mean, this is JavaScript, so it's completely up to you. I can think about this if you want to stay in contact with me, like through comments or things like that, or you can PM me on Twitter. I'd love to help you through like maybe other solutions, because I'm kind of curious myself if there's a good way to solve this. Yeah. Man, this is great. See, I wish we had people that volunteered like questions and things like this, because goodness gracious. You know what? If people are actually still watching this, I think I'm going to put a shout out for questions, and say, hey, on the next upcoming thing, would like to answer some questions for you. Because this is a lot more fun than just going through and doing all the stupid chores. But yeah, if you need anything, Ronaldo, just hit me up. I can figure this out with you. It seems like a lot of fun. I'm sorry, off the cuff, this is the best I could come up with, and I don't recommend it. Because fundamentally it breaks the union. Like to mix those two types, the tagging them and putting them into two separate kind of buckets. They're not really, they're just tagged into different buckets. They're labeled into different buckets. By scooting it over to one side, you now have, so what would that be? So you would have like an A plus B, but now you're an A plus B plus B. So the A's would cancel out. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I might have to draw that out. Well, I guess unless anyone else has any questions, I'll answer one more question, maybe something like this, and I think I'm going to call it a day. Going forward, I mean, yeah, we'll finish this to-do thing, but you really don't need to watch me sit and do all of this. I think what I'm going to do over this week is I'll do the remaining chores and then just do a brief rundown of what I was doing. This was a horrible idea. But I do like the idea of gathering questions beforehand. So maybe I'll put a call out to Twitter. If you're not following me, you can follow me at EvilSoft on Twitter. I usually post up like when I'm going to do this and things like that. But maybe I'll do a shout out for questions for the next upcoming one, and maybe examples, or if you'd like to see me refactor code. Because just working on a project is silly, and I don't know what your questions are. Like, all I can do is really guess. So I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'll put a shout out, and if anyone has any questions, and maybe that will determine like what my content's going to be for the next week. We could do boring chore stuff, or we could do question and answer pairs. I also want to bring up, before I take off here, I'm putting together a series. I went and bit the bullet. So I make some money from some of this, but most of the time I donate most of it to like the EFF and things like that. I try to support like Patreon to some podcasters that I listen to, support their work, and some homeless and food things. But I actually splurged. So I'm making this series where I kind of go over the math diagrams and explain the notation and show like, what an injective function is. And then immediately after explaining the maths, I jump into JavaScript and show everyone the JavaScript and what those diagrams look like in JavaScript. In most cases, some of it you can't do. But I try to approximate it just so you can kind of make a one-to-one on like what the research papers you're reading and the textbooks you're reading and what that actually means for JavaScript. So I was doing just an Inkscape, like doing it frame by frame and making these motion graphics. I guess I learned that's what they call this. I was doing these motion graphics frame by frame and then editing it in Blender and doing my recordings and things like that. And goodness gracious, it was just tedious. So I went and splurged and took some of the money that I've had donated and bought After Effects. It's like an Adobe program. But anyway, so I am now moving along a lot quicker, and we'll be uploading this series. It's not going to be a live code series, and it's not going to be on Egghead because it's more of a presentational. And they not they, but typically the content on there isn't like a presentation in code. It's just straight up code. So I'm going to just throw them up as episodes here. Yeah, so be on the lookout for those. I'll be uploading them soon. Got a couple more. If you watched last week's episode, it's based on the things. It's based on some of that stuff we were doing with set theory. So if you're interested in those sorts of things. I'm going to do a couple more sessions here on YouTube, but if things don't pick up and I don't get a lot of like the interaction for the live code, and if most people are just watching the reruns anyway, I'm going to move over to Live Code EDU. Like I said, I could get anywhere. I got a good pool there, or a good draw. I could get anywhere from 10 to 20 people at any given time that would interact and ask questions and do things. And I'm just not getting that here on YouTube. So YouTube is, I guess, great for people watching reruns. So I'm probably going to move the live code over to there just so I can have more, we can have more of an interactive experience. Everyone, I think, learns better that way. And then I'll just upload if they allow me. I got to check their privacy or their policies and things like that. But then I'll just upload those to this YouTube channel for the people that like the YouTube. But yeah, so that is pretty much all I have. I hope you all have a wonderful time, and I will speak at you later.